What's up, YouTube? This time I'm doing the rear brakes on the Chevy Camaro. This is under the same project as of sitting for 2 years. Now it's the same as doing the front brakes, and you got to take these pins out. These are the pins that hold the brake in, and back here you got to take this bolt. There's another one down here, and that's what removed the entire bracket. So once the whole caliper comes off, then we got access to the rotor. I got to change the rotors also, which is a star point. You put that bit in there, you take the screw out. They're never really tight, they're just like hand tight, so it should come out fairly easy. Swing the caliper up, rest it up top, and then I'll be able to take the rotor off. I'm gonna have to bang it with a hammer, it's all rusted. Clean the surface up and put everything back together. So for the lower bolt, I got a 18 mil, and I got it on a breaker bar. It's a small breaker bar. I'll try to get the big one in there, but it didn't work, so I'll use a small one. And I just need to break these loose, and that's it. It already broke loose, but I want to get another little turn out of it. There we go. Now I get the one on top. There we go, got that loose. Now I can finish taking it off with a regular ratchet. Now what I'm gonna do, I have a punch, and that's to get in this hole right here to punch the pin out. So I'm gonna put my punch, and that's this pin I'm removing, and then the same thing for the upper one. So I'll get my punch in, use a hammer, and I'm hitting the other end with a hammer. Now I do the same for the upper one. When I did the front rotor, I changed the brakes after I put it back on. This time I'm just gonna take the pins out, and then I'll take the whole caliper off. It's actually a spring, so I could push in on the bottom or push in on the top, like right here. So what I'm going to do is push on the top to release some tension off the pin. That way I could pry the pin out. And I'm just going to use a little pry bar that I have and kind of push it out. Take that spring off. We're going to reuse this. Just remember how you took it off. This section goes against the brake pads. So I got one pin out. Now I gotta go for the other one. Second one's out. So at least, let's see, this brake pad slides right out. The other one is kind of fused in there. And that's the second one. So now that that's off, and if you're just going to do your brakes, that's how you do the brakes. But being that I'm going to change the rotor, I'm going to take the whole caliper off. So from here, I go back to my 18 mil on my ratchet, and I'm just going to back this off. And these two bolts, upper and lower, should be the same. Got this one off. And now I could take the entire caliper and sit it right on top, just like so. And there's a lot of flex in the line, so it's not putting any stress on the line. Now from here is where I take my start point, if I could find it. This is it. You can see. And I go on this fastener right here, and I'm just gonna back it out. Oh, this one was surprisingly easy to come out, and it's actually more rusted than the front one. This is what it looks like. See the star, and then the tool. Now to get this rotor off, I go back to my hammer, and I'm just gonna hit this section, that section, all the way around, just to loosen up the rust, and I should be able to pull it off. This one is actually much tighter than the front one. I sprayed it down with some rust penetrant, and I'll give it a couple of minutes and I'll try again. I'll just give it some light taps just to let it seep in where it needs to seep in. So I let a few minutes pass. I actually had to use my 5-pound hammer instead, actually 4 pounds. So I had to go with this one. I'm pretty sure you could hear me breathing kind of hard, so I gave it, believe it or not, I gave it 2 good whacks with this, and the bottom came loose. So maybe another hit or 2 and it should come off. There we go. So now I'll just clean this surface up, try to take off as much rust as I can, so when I put the new rotor on, we won't have that same problem. I'm not gonna put, I could put anti-seize on the surface, but I'm not going to do it. The car is not going to be sitting for another 2 years as far as I know. The owner is going to be driving it, so he's going to need brakes and rotors before then anyway. And if this car was sitting for so long and I was able to get it off, then if he's got to change it another year from now, it's going to be even easier to take off. So I'm just going to clean it up, put the new rotor on and the new brakes. That should be good enough. And whenever you're using stuff like this, try to have it spin away from you. So I'm behind the camera, and if you notice, I spin it like in reverse if I'm doing the upper part. So if any of the bristles are going to break off or rust fly off, it's gonna go that way, away from me, because the spinning motion actually of this is going to throw whatever debris away from me and not towards me. Now if I reverse the drill and I have it like this facing me, then whatever it slings off is going to come directly towards me. And always wear eye protection and a mask if possible. A regular mask is fine. You don't really want to breathe all this stuff in. So like so, away from me. And once I get right here, I reverse the drill to let it throw down, and it's gonna throw it on the ground, whatever it's gonna throw. Same thing here. And pretty much that's how I do it. And now I use brake clean. Just spray the surface down. And you could see where it's much shinier, it break up all the rust. I could keep on going and try to get it even cleaner, but I'm just gonna leave it how it is. Now, put my rotor on. And one of the key things to look for is this little screw hole right here. The rotor actually has a little place for that, which is right here. So you just want to make sure those line up. There we go. The hole is here. It lines up. Now I could go ahead and put the screw back in. And you don't necessarily have to put it back, but I'm going to put it back anyway. I just sprayed it with some rust penetrant. And just like the front, like I explained, if this screw gets stripped and you're unable to take it out, then you could actually use a drill bit and just drill straight into it and drill it out. Just hand tied it a little bit. Just want to clean the surface. And on these rotors, the reason I clean it off is when they are shipped brand new, they come with a coating, like an oily kind of coating, to prevent rust from building up. So I just use the brake cleaner to clean that off. I cleaned the inside while I had it on the ground already. I get my brake caliper. And I just use my wire brush, and I'm just going to clean the surface that the caliper slides. There's a lot of dust, so mask and eye protection. Once I get the surface pretty much clean, I'm going to put this back on. just need to get the bolt in the back. I got the top one, now I just got to get the bottom one. And I got to check the torque specs on these bolts. Torque those down to spec. So I went ahead and I put some caliper brake and caliper grease. I put it on the surface that's going to touch the caliper. So I just put it on this surface and that surface, here and here. Just a light coating. Don't have to go crazy on it. And now I gotta take it, and they're both the same, both sides. So I gotta slide it in, and if you realize, it's hard to go in. So the piston is pushed out. So the way I push the piston in, and it's 4 pistons, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll show it on this side to give an idea what I'm gonna do. There's the piston at the bottom and one at the top. If I push on one of them, it pushes the other one out. When I push this one in, the bottom one in, the top one comes out. So what I do, I use either 2 screwdrivers, or in this case a screwdriver and a crowbar, and I just wedge. You could see how I have it on the piston right here and against the edge of the rotor, and I push that bottom one in, and then the top one. While I'm holding the bottom one, I squeeze the top one in also, and both of them go right in. So once it's like that, then I could actually take the brake pad, and I'll just slide it right in, and it goes in just like so. And this side was the hard side to go in, so I'll do the same thing. I'll put the screwdriver on the lower one, and when I push it in, the top one pushed out. So now I'll hold it, put the top one, and push the top one in. And it doesn't take a lot of force. It's very easy to push in once you have decent leverage with 2 screwdrivers. And now for the low one, this should slide right in. And there you go, slide right in with a lot of room to play with. So now that it's in, I'll clean up this spring. Guess you could call it a retention spring, and it's going to go in like so. So that's the shape. These 2 wings right here rest on the brake pads. So I'm going to clean that up and install that. So here I have it all cleaned up, and just to minimize any kind of squeaking, I'm just going to put a little bit of the brake and caliper grease. Just put a little bit right here where the spring is going to touch the back of the brake pad. And you don't need much, just a little bit. So once it goes in like so, it's going to be resting on it. And now after I cleaned up the pins, and I just use my my grinder with a wire brush on it, clean it up real nice. I'm just gonna add a little bit of the brake caliper grease on it, not much, just like the amount I'm gonna add is like, I might as well not even add it, but just to prevent it from seizing up or anything. I'm not sure if there was a coating on it. It might have been a coating on it when I cleaned it with the wire wheel, so I don't know if that came off. So see, I just put a little bit on it, you can't even tell, but just enough to kind of protect it. Same thing on the other one. And then from here now, it's just to line everything up and install it. So let me grab my me push my pad back out. And I just got to get my pin started, and the pins are identical, so it doesn't matter if one goes in top, one at the bottom. It's the same thing. Get that lower one, get my spring. Remember the orientation of the spring. So I got my spring on, and just want to push that through. Okay. The one at the bottom. Wanna press this in. Slide that through. That's in. I'm just gonna tap on it just to get it flush. And I'm not using the right thing to do this, but I'm just trying to get this over with. It's nice and flush, and it's flush on this side. So that's it for the brakes. Now from here, it's just to torque the mounting bracket bolts down. Like I said, you could look those torque specs up, torque it down in the back, put my wheel back on, and everything is all set. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.